Welcome to the Fit 15 podcast show, where you'll find health and fitness inspiration, motivation, and information shared in 15-minute episodes. Tune in while getting a move on to make leading and enjoying the benefits of a healthy lifestyle almost too easy. It's the Fit 15. And now your host, Catherine Basu.
Welcome to the Fit 15 podcast show. I'm your host, Catherine Basu, and I'm super excited today to be chatting with the guest who, just like yesterday's guest, is giving me an excuse to talk about two of my favorite things, entrepreneurship and health, and how the two are so closely intertwined and what can happen when you combine and focus on both of those things side by side and simultaneously. So without further ado, let me tell you a little bit more about my guest so that I can introduce you to her and you can enjoy our conversation. So my guest is Amina AlTai, and she is basically a business and wellness coach all in one. Amina is a nationally recognized expert who believes that authentic health and a booming business can arise only from an integrative approach. She has 12 years of marketing and brand management experience, but also training in nutrition, fitness, and mindfulness. After several years of pushing her physical limits in order to achieve business success, Amina experienced her own burnout, developing 2 autoimmune diseases and a whole host of food allergies. She realized that in order to get where she wanted to go in business, she needed to nourish herself in all the right ways first. Amina now pays it forward and teaches others how to fill up in all the right ways in business and in life. Amina, welcome to the podcast. I am so excited to have you as my guest on the Fit 15 today.
Catherine, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
So we've chatted a little bit before we hit record, and we found that we're basically preaching to our own choirs, that we really believe in the same thing. So one thing maybe I have you dive into a little bit more, just because I do have a lot of listeners who are entrepreneurs, because I have a lot of friends that are entrepreneurs now that I've become one. But could you kind of talk about that experience of, coming to this point of actually wanting to work on your health personally, just from things that you experienced before you took it more seriously?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so funny because just before we jumped on and started recording, you talked about, addressing the newbie and talking to beginners and just giving your own journey. And the same is true for me. So I wasn't always really passionate about nutrition. And it took my own journey for me to really start to become aware of it and realize how it was impacting me. And so when I was in my early 20s, I started my own marketing agency, and it was, my second job, and I was a newbie and didn't necessarily know what I was doing, but I jumped right in with all this gusto and hubris and passion. And I was working so hard and ignoring my body so much and just really unilaterally focused on my business that I eventually burned out. And, it took kind of a big burnout for me to stop and say, okay, I've got to change something. So I was noticing physical symptoms, like I was really tired, my hair was falling out. I was having memory troubles, which was really surprising in my late 20s. So I was diagnosed with 2 autoimmune diseases. And at that point, my options were really get healthy or, burnout, and you won't be able to show up for your job, for your friends, for your family, for nothing, right? You're not going to be able to live the life that you want to live. So it really was a turning point for me. And so I started learning more about nutrition and mindfulness and healthy movement. And I just got so excited about it just because I was feeling so amazing just taking care of myself. And I realized I could show up in a totally different way for all of my clients, for all of my friends. Like I was a different human being when I was taking care of myself. And I thought, this is amazing. I've got to figure out a way to teach this and help people and help mitigate the learning curve so people don't have to go through what I went through. Like people shouldn't have to have a crash and burn, There should be people like me on the sidelines and you on the sidelines cheering them on so they don't have to have that crash and burn.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I guess, once you start, how did you take the first step to start your personal journey? Like, what are some tips just for people maybe out there who are feeling really overwhelmed and they're not sure, how to get the ball rolling, because it can be really overwhelming when you're in that position? What would be some advice maybe from your personal journey you could share?
Absolutely. I would say start small and start with one thing. So it's
Hmm.
really hard to, as you said, to overhaul everything at one time. It can become like really overwhelming and daunting, and then we want to quit, right? So, my advice is start with one thing. So for me, it was really the nutrition piece. I was diagnosed with celiac disease, which means I can't eat gluten. So basically, I had to very quickly overhaul my diet, which became a real sort of blessing. And as soon as I cut out the gluten, I started to feel better, but then I was noticing other food triggers. So it started with one change, and that was
Hmm.
literally removing gluten. And then I followed the thread and the path, and I started, incorporating, more greens and green juices and antioxidant rich berries and things like that. And I just started a different step every day, basically, or
Hmm.
every week, let's say. And you become accustomed to feeling so good, you don't want to do anything to not feel good. So it just kind of
Right.
grows and spirals. And then once I really got a hand on nutrition is when I started to really incorporate healthy movement and find activities that I loved. And I would say that's another really key point is finding things that you truly, deeply want to get out of bed for. So for me, that was spin class. I loved it
Mm.
so much and I saw great results from it. It was just like it was like a dance party, and I was like, I can get out of bed for this. So
Yeah.
I think it's really important to find, movement that really lights you up, because otherwise it's just going to feel like resistance all the way.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, I'm glad you love spin. The first time I took spin, I absolutely hated it because it was kind of, I went to like a Pilates class and the instructor couldn't teach Pilates, but she taught spins. That could have been part of it. It was the expectation of, something totally different. But then
They
I
pulled a
felt.
fast one.
Yes, exactly. But I was gonna say, like, I think I often mention this. I don't think I've mentioned it on the podcast, at least recently, but like I've had that experience multiple times. So sometimes it can be, like where so eventually I did try it again and I loved it and I became a spin instructor, a few years down the line. So I think, even trying things more than once is really important too.
I totally agree. And so funny, I was a spin teacher for a little bit as well.
Hmm.
But I
Hmm.
totally agree, because there were classes that the first time I had so much resistance towards them. I was like, oh, I don't love this. And then my second or third experience, I was like, this is fantastic and feels really good for my body. And I want more of this. So you're absolutely right. I love the idea of try it multiple times because, if you're in a funky mood or something else happened that day, you never know how an experience is going to affect you. So I totally agree. Give it a second chance.
Yeah. And I also love you mentioned, you probably maybe have some resources on this. I'm going to ask you about that, but about getting more greens into your diet because hi, friends. If you are joining us for an out and back walk and only have 15 minutes, that is your halfway point reminder. You want to turn around now. All right, back to our episode. My main focus is working on getting people moving more, but then of course people have questions on like how to eat healthy. And as you know from, having celiac disease and having to deal with that, like not every single person's, what's going to make them feel good is going to be the same across the board. So but we do find that the more we can eat whole fruits and vegetables, pretty much anyone can benefit from a plant-based diet. Not doesn't have to be you know just plants, doesn't have to be vegetarian. But could you mention any resources or tips you've had to like be able to get excited about that or just find good recipes or things to try making that change?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of my things is, crowding out the bad with the good. So,
Hmm.
if we're taking something away, let's actually start by adding something in first, right? So it's not about just what we remove and what we're lacking, but also like what we're adding in. And
Hmm.
there are kind of stealthy ways to sneak in more greens in a way that still tastes delicious and still tastes exciting.
Hmm.
So, like a really easy example would be if you have a morning smoothie, let's say, and you're used to just loading it up with fruits like blueberries and bananas and protein powder and your favorite milk. Adding in a handful of spinach adds a ton of fiber and nutrients and doesn't really change the flavor profile. So it's a great
Hmm.
way to, let's say, sneak in more greens into your diet without really changing up the taste of something if you like it.
Hmm.
And even like, I like to do healthy swaps for kind of unhealthy things, right? So I'll make protein bites or protein cookies, and in there you can sneak in green powders as well. And that's a great way to work in more plants into your diet without really, getting rid of the joy, right? Because eating should be functional, but it should also really be joyful, right?
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, we can be working on our physical health by tackling our nutrition, but if we're, miserable the whole time, it's not really helping our overall health either, right? So,
Exactly. It's like, what's the point if it just feels like this uphill battle that's not fun? Like, we stick to things when they're fun, just like we were saying with exercise.
I love that. So you talk about being an entrepreneurish entrepreneur as you go and try to build a healthy business. Can you talk about that concept a little bit more and explain that to us and how to be able to do that ourselves?
Absolutely. So thank you for asking. So before I was doing this work, I worked in marketing and I talked a little bit about my own health crisis, but I worked a lot in the startup world and I saw a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of founders who were putting their own health last in service of their business, right? And it's not an uncommon story. It's my story. I've seen it in so many places.
Mm.
But what I realized is that the health of the business is actually correlated to the health of the leadership and the founders, right? So if you have a founder that's not making healthy choices physically, mentally, emotionally, there's going to be a ripple effect and it's going to touch the rest of the team. It's going to touch the consumers that touch that business. It's going to touch every piece of it and it'll impact the bottom line, right? You're not going to have a thriving business if you're not thriving. And of course, there are exceptions to the rule. There might be the entrepreneur that is running and gunning at 1,000% and working 100 hours a week and still has a healthy bottom line, but I bet you if they were taking better care of themselves they could make even more money. So
Yeah, no, for sure.
yeah, so my approach, my methodology is all about looking at founder health and business health at the same time. And I call it Entreprenourished. So, basically I have a 7-point scale and I look at, are you healthy in the way that you're eating, the way that you're moving your body? Are you building a mindset of resilience? Are your relationships healthy? All of those things go into making us feel whole and nourished. And when we have them in the right balance, our business can feel balanced as well. So I basically examine business health and founder health at the same time. So kind of like a business coach and a wellness coach had a baby.
No, I love that. I mean, and it's so important that we are feeling, 100 or as close to 100% and taking care of ourselves as we're building our business baby. Which, as I'm saying this, I'm thinking, because some of us who have businesses don't have kids, but you want to be a good role model for your kids if you have them. So, kind of similar idea for your business, right? If you're not healthy, your business baby can't really be very healthy either. So.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Awesome. So I guess, you do have a free little mini course that people could check out, but just to give us the broader overview, maybe some steps if people were to work with you, what are some things that they would experience, or how do you go about trying to get people to carry this out in their life through working with you?
Yeah, that's such a great question. So, like, my big goal is to help people show up physically and emotionally so they can do the great work of their life, right? Because I believe that when we do the great work of our lives and we're really passionate, we're really lit up, everybody around us experiences that passion, that excitement, and there's this whole ripple effect out into the world, right?
Mm. Mhm.
And it's so inspiring. I want everyone to feel so good about going to work every day. So I've done a lot of corporate wellness, and a stat always sticks out in my mind, and it's from Deloitte's Shift Index survey from 2012. And in their survey, they found that 80% of people were somewhat dissatisfied with their jobs. So that's 4 out of 5 people go to work every day and they don't really love it. And imagine if it was 5 out of 5 people going to work every day, loving it and so happy in what
Right.
they were doing. Like, we would live in such a different world. Um, so my goal is to get people to the point that they love what they are doing and they're passionate about it and they're lit up and they're excited and they're lighting up everybody around them. So it's really, it's physical and it's emotional. So I do mindset coaching. I do nourishment and nutrition coaching, looking at, what are you putting into your body? Is it the right thing for you? Is it helping you show up fully? And then it's also business and marketing coaching. So what are the actual tactics you're employing? And, are they aligned? Are they resonating? So we're looking at the mind, we're looking at the physical body, and we're looking at the physical business. And so,
Awesome.
yeah, so I have that free mini course for you guys if you guys want a little
Mhm.
teaser of the work that I do. And I work with people one-on-one. And I also have a digital course called Entreprenourished Digital, which is for emerging entrepreneurs that, have an idea but aren't exactly sure how to bring it to life and they need a little support. And that's what Entreprenourished Digital is all about.
Awesome. So some of my friends who are, like we were talking about before I hit record, some of my clients who are not entrepreneurs yet might be able to benefit from that.
Exactly, exactly. So it's for people of all stages, right? I mean, say you're in a job that you don't necessarily love, like that's going to take its toll on you. Or maybe you've already left that job that you don't love and you're starting your business, but it's not going the right way. Or maybe you've started the business, but you feel stuck in it. And so there's gems for everybody, right? There's something to learn for us all.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I also love your idea about talking about how, if these small steps of working on our own emotional health can actually have that ripple effect. Because I think sometimes we can be overwhelmed and think that, what I do personally is not going to impact anyone else. But that's really not true. Like having, changing your attitude can really change the world by just impacting who you are around. So
Totally. And some of us more than others, right? Some of us are big empaths and, we feel the feelings of others around us, while some of us are potentially less sensitive. And so we don't all pick up the same things. But, we do. How we show up does impact people around us, right? Because if we show up in a bad mood, that's going to rub off on somebody else, or if we show up in a positive mood, the same thing will happen. So why not choose the positive?
And I think too, sometimes people will say that they feel like self-care is a little bit selfish, but I think, what we're chatting about just goes against that, right? If you're taking care of yourself, you actually can be a better version of yourself, and be able to. So it's actually a good thing to take that time out, even though it might not seem like you have the time right now.
Totally. And so many people say you can't serve from an empty cup. And I feel like it's obviously to the
Mm.
point of overuse, but it is such a good metaphor. And I
Mhm.
think about now, like when I was in my agency and I was really unwell and I couldn't remember things and I was so tired, there's no way my clients were getting a great level of service. But like nowadays, for example, I'm so energized. I'm so excited about the work that I'm doing. I show up for every meeting at 100% and like serve with all of me because I can, and that's a
Mhm.
very different
Mhm.
experience. And so it's absolutely not selfish because we're showing up in a much, much, much bigger way. That's totally selfless.
Love that. And I guess I don't know if you experienced this before we close out, because obviously we want them to go check out the course and it's free, so they'll get value out of that. But I don't know if you find, because I definitely have this experience, that there's like similar things that a lot of clients will struggle with. So if there's like something that people could latch on and try to start doing after listening to the podcast today before they get to go check out the course, that you could share with listeners.
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing that I see when I'm working with people one on one is the concept of self worth. A lot of
Mm.
people don't necessarily feel that they're valuable enough. And so they'll pick up habits and behaviors to make themselves feel more valuable, sort of at a superficial level, and to compensate for not feeling valuable enough innately.
Mhm.
And so, that can manifest as a disordered relationship with food, or self sabotage by not going to the gym, or
Mm.
self sabotage even in the business. And really at the root of it all is not feeling good enough. And so the work that I do is really about kind of digging in with the individual and understanding where their blocks are coming from, like why they potentially don't feel good enough, and then maybe why they aren't nourishing themselves in balanced ways. A lot of the times our subconscious mind is kind of sneaky and taking us out in ways that we don't even realize, making us stay in bed and hit the snooze button instead of going to the gym, or making us reach for the bag of candy because part of us doesn't believe that we deserve what we want or deserve to be happy. So that's a really big piece of it is understanding your worth.
I love that, and it's, yeah, not something that you might think of immediately, but if you're, I would definitely say if you're someone that's in that situation, you kind of start thinking about it even a little, you'd probably experience that. Because I think I'm sure this is a common thing you see too. Some people will say that they'll be happy when they lose this weight, or a lot of these more superficial things, or fit into this size. But if we don't tackle that more inner work, it's not going to matter, the outward appearance, right? So
Exactly. And it won't stick also because inherently we don't believe it, right? It'll be a quick
sure.
fix that, will sort of quickly spiral back to where we began unless we really change our belief system and understand our true value.
Awesome. Well, I mean, I feel like I could talk to you all day because we have so much in common.
I know, right back at you.
But definitely, okay, we'll have in the show notes where people can go and get the 3-part mini course for free. So that I definitely appreciate you offering that to my listeners. Any other good links and things, I'll put it all in the show notes, but just so they start having it in their mind, that you want to mention to the listeners to check out.
Oh, yeah, beautiful. I'll also send through some links to recipes
Oh,
too, because I
cool.
know
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
asking
yeah.
about more incorporating more plant-based foods. And so I can definitely share some exciting, yummy
Yeah.
recipes for you
Love it.
guys.
Thank you so much, Amina, for being a guest. I look forward to checking out the recipes and hearing how the show has impacted listeners. And yeah, look forward to following you online myself now as well.
Amazing, Catherine. Thank you so much for having me today. It has been such a joy and I had such a great time. Like you said, I could talk to you for hours.
Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks for listening to the Fit 15. For show notes and more, visit fitarmadillo.com/podcast. See you next time.
Hi, friends. It's Catherine again. I hope you enjoyed my chat with Amina. And if you did and are a business owner who is looking for help working on your wellness, I would love to invite you to join me tomorrow, June 1st, 2018, in Santa Monica for the Legal Unicorn Society's Unicorn Academy. This is a great event that is going to be all about wellness for your business and for you. The Legal Unicorn Society is a network of socially conscious lawyers and professionals, and they've partnered with the General Assembly to host this event, which will be a full day of wellness for entrepreneurs, including speakers, professional panels, interactive content, and breakout sessions. I'm going to be a guest. If you head to yesterday's show notes, you can find out how to possibly score yourself a free ticket, and if not, a discounted ticket. So I hope to see you there or a friend there if you are not local to Santa Monica and the Los Angeles area. And also wanted to share one other little reminder, or two other little reminders here that are important things for tomorrow as well. We have the Marathon Kids Walk and Talk program is starting up tomorrow, June 1st, which is going to help you and your kids, if you have them or have kids in your life, get walking and talking and learning about each other and moving more. So definitely check out that episode with Cami Hawkins to learn more about that, and head on over to the Marathon Kids website to register yourself for that great program. And the other thing is our giveaway for Mia Moran's Flow Planner, which is perfect for entrepreneurs looking to find ways to keep wellness and business all on the same page in their schedules and calendars. That giveaway is ending tomorrow. So lots of big things happening tomorrow, June 1st, 2018, for entrepreneurs, moms, families, really anyone, right? So I hope you're excited about that. And I look forward to chatting with you tomorrow if you are a subscriber of the podcast. So go ahead and subscribe. And if you are enjoying the podcast, please leave a review. It really helps other people find the show. Thanks for your support. Bye.